Happy Thursday. Welcome back to Inside the Lines. I'm your host, Mackenzie Brooks, and we have a big show ahead. MLB playoffs, Thursday night football, NFL in general, college football to get through. So we are going to give you the best information we can. Apologies for my voice. I'm getting over the flu, but we'll disregard. We'll bring in John, talk a little MLB playoffs, and I have to hype you up a little bit. Red October, or just MLB playoffs, Red October in my eyes. He went 5-1 last night, 25-15 overall right now between Jake and John's picks through MLB playoffs. We're feeling good, aren't we?
Yeah, we're feeling good. Unfortunately, Jake and I couldn't get the 25 for 625 prize picks for y'all yesterday. We went 5 of 6 and just missed the last one, but hopefully we can come up with one for y'all soon.
Yeah, definitely. So with that, we have a few plays from John today. We'll start with the earlier game with the Phillies now on the road against the Diamondbacks, but we're still back in Red October, aren't we?
Yep, definitely backing them still. I mean, there's no reason not to at this point. Ranger Suarez is starting for the Phillies, and he's been pitching extremely well in the postseason. He's kind of the exact type of guy that just turns it on in the postseason. I believe he's allowed 3 earned runs now and 23 something innings pitched over his entire postseason career, which is just absurd. And on the other side, you have Brandon Pfaadt going, and he's a rookie. He's making his 3rd playoff start now, and he hasn't gone 5 innings in each of the first 2 starts. It means there's likely going to be a lot of bullpen for the Diamondbacks bullpen. The Phillies are just so red hot. Who do you pitch to in that lineup right now? You can't pitch to Schwarber. He's heating up. You can't pitch to Turner. You can't pitch to Harper. You can't pitch to Castellanos.
I have to find the best post I saw yesterday about the Phillies.
It's literally pick your poison. Like it's whether you want, a single, a double, or a walk off you. But that lineup is just too good right now. And the Diamondbacks lineup is kind of struggling. They've got a few guys that just aren't hitting anymore. I think the lefty is going to be a tough matchup for them, especially the top of their lineup with guys like Corbin Carroll. So I really like the Phillies on the money line to keep it going here.
Mm-hmm. And then you have a player prop in this game as well.
Yes, we're going to go with one player prop here. Johan Rojas under 0.5 total bases. It's plus 125 today. My guess is because it's Brandon Pfaadt in the mound as opposed to one of the D-backs aces. But he's 2 for 29 this playoffs. He's not in the lineup to hit. He's in the lineup to play defense, as we saw in one of the previous games when he made that great catch in center field to save the game against the Braves. That's why he's in the lineup. Like I said, he's 2 for 29 in the postseason. He only has hits in 2 of his 8 playoff games. So at plus money, I think that's great value in the under total base there.
I like that a lot. We'll move to the later game tonight. The Astros in Texas. You took the Astros yesterday. It hit. We like them again tonight. Again, good value here.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to go right back to the Astros here, mainly because of the situation that the Rangers bullpen is in. So their starter is going to be Andrew Heaney today, but Andrew Heaney hasn't pitched 5 innings since August. He's been pitching out of the bullpen a lot. So that means that he's probably not going to get deep in the game, and there's going to be a lot of Rangers bullpen, just like there was yesterday. And we've seen what happens when their bullpen gets extended. The Astros on the other side have a few guys that are starting to heat up, and Jose Urquidy has tons of big game experience. He pitched in the World Series last year, and he's been pitching in the playoffs for multiple years now, last 4 or 5 years. So he has tons of experience there, and I think he's going to give Dusty some good innings. And then the Astros bullpen has been solid behind him. So I think we have to go with the Astros at plus money here.
I like it. I like the plus money, and we'll be sweating out these games all together at our little happy hour tonight. Okay. Little 5 o'clock happy hour for the team. So with that, plenty of baseball questions I'm seeing in the chat. Jake's trying to get to them. John, I'm going to send you in there as well to get to them. Now, we are going to head into the NFL with Steven. Of course, some Thursday night football. We're back to the Tron graphic. 3 plays for you tonight with value. And if you want to fade us, we did the courtesy of giving you the best option on how to fade us if you want to do that.
Best part of the happy hour tonight is it's on another company's dime. Because I'm too scared of using our CBS Sports Paramount expense reimbursement system. It's very complicated. So I usually just pay for things out of my own pocket, since I'm technically the senior person there, which is unfortunate. And this is on someone else's dime, so that's great. Anyway, let's get to the point. So Jaguars Saints. Model has no value on this. So this is purely just because we're talking about the under trend pervading this year. So we know that unders are 61% this season. The public is 76% on the under. Historically, Thursday night football, the last 3 seasons, I believe, is 33 and 23, 59% under. The Saints unders are 6-0 this season. There's too many unders, too high and under. I'm just going to say this is the week that it goes the other way. Unfortunately, I think there are some other people feeling that way. And the line went from, you could get 39.5 points just an hour and a half ago. Now I'm only seeing 40.
And before we move on, someone was asking if we like the Saints money line. Correct me if I'm wrong. We still have value on the Jags here, but certainly not strong value.
Yeah, with Trevor Lawrence, anywhere from 60 to 75 to 80%, we're just not sure. So that I wouldn't take any money line bets right now, especially until you know what his status is, unless you have an inside information on Jacksonville and are confident that Lawrence either isn't playing or is severely limited, because he does have an issue with, he doesn't have really good spidey sense. Right, his issue is lost fumbles in the pocket, or he's standing there and doesn't feel the pressure coming behind. So if he can't move and take off, which he's been doing effectively this season, then he could lose some fumbles and give short fields to the Saints. So if he's in there and can't move, or if he's out, then obviously there's a lot of value on the Saints probably, but not if the line goes to like Saints minus 180 or more.
Okay.
Anyway, so back to yeah. So the first one, I like Travis Etienne over 19.5 receiving yards. This year, he's become much more a much bigger target, and his yards per game, receiving yards per game, is up around 50% versus a year ago, closer to 30. Went from basically 20 to 30. He's averaged historically in his career more on the road in receiving yards, and the over is 7-5 in his road games. I also think that with Zay Jones out, their third wide receiver, he kind of moves up the pecking order in terms of receiving targets, and he's kind of the safety net for Lawrence, especially if Lawrence isn't mobile or if it's CJ Beathard. So I think that he has a good chance of getting those little short dump offs to protect the quarterback. He also is a pretty good yards per reception for a running back at 8.5. Alvin Kamara is known for his receiving skills, and he's at 6.5 yards per reception. So I like this one a lot. The third one is Derek Carr, and we have tremendous percentage value with a 4-yard rushing yard projection. So it's like we got like 700% value here at over half a rushing yard. I'm actually a big fan of competitive companies, Colin Cowherd, who on TV, and anyone who listens to him knows that he's been a huge fan of Derek Carr for 10 years, where most people were out on him years ago. And just this week, he's been saying he's out on Derek Carr. So I figure if he'd be the last person, I think, in sports who would be out on Derek Carr. So I got to believe that a lot of people, even in the building, teammates, are disappointed that what he hasn't been doing for the team offensively, especially on third and longs, and the team can't really run that well. So one of the things where a quarterback who's losing the locker room and losing faith, and people are losing faith in him, likes to do is show how tough they are. So Carr's injured, but I kind of feel this is the week where he's going to put his body on the line, maybe not for good results, but enough for one rushing yard. I also like that the Jags
with Russell Wilson, we saw it too.
Yeah. Jags get a lot of pressure, but they don't get a lot of sacks. So I'm hoping some of that pressure comes from the edge from like Josh Allen. The Jags, Josh Allen forces him to run up for 2 yards, 1 yard. Preferably in the first play of the game.
Yeah, I like it. We've had some success with running back receiving yards and quarterback rushing yards. So we'll move on from that. We'll go to our survivor pool. We are on fire, undefeated so far. We go into week 7. Again, a great time to always fade the Cardinals. We're going with the Seahawks. And then you take a look at what we have projected through the next few weeks. Things are looking pretty good too. May I remind you guys that Steven literally cooked this up in like 15 minutes in August and hasn't had to change a single thing yet.
Yeah, so I'm feeling good. I mean, we're gonna hopefully, I'm knocking on wood, don't jinx ourselves. But yeah, we got Seattle's one of the bigger favorites on the board this week. They're 7.5, 8-point favorites, and our percentage this week went from 71% in the preseason to 73%. So we actually like this even more than we did back in August.
Good question from Scott is where'd it go? Is Ridley worth starting tonight, no matter the quarterback situation? If we want to go into that a little bit.
I mean, I can't imagine many people have 2 wide receivers and a flex that's better than Ridley. So even if it's a down week, I think that you have to still start him. I mean, again, CJ Beathard put up pretty good stats 3 seasons ago. when he
he's no joke, which we talked about earlier this week.
Yeah, he was a joke when he first started, and then he became less of a joke. So, I'm looking at the rankings for, I know you can't really see this, but there's, our rankings for Calvin Ridley are solid in terms of compared to what the Fantasy Football Today experts have. We have some wide receiver 23. He's 19. So, yeah, I think you got to start him, even if it's a down week.
Good stuff. Love to educate. All right, with that, continue to ask your NFL questions in the chat. We're happy to get to them too towards the end of the show. I'm going to bring in Jake. We're going to talk a little bit of college football. And we're going to start with our team totals that we're going on. 4-0 last week. Correct me if I'm wrong.
4-0 in our first team total Thursday. So very nice start.
Stuff. Steven, your time is done. All right, let's get into it. 4 games to go through. We'll start with Arkansas team total over 27.5 versus Mississippi State.
Mississippi State. Mississippi State's defense has not looked good lately. They allowed a bunch of yards and points to a bad Western Michigan team last week. We have Arkansas at 33 points. Arkansas's at home this game. So, 4 touchdowns here. They started getting things going in the second half against Alabama. Hopefully they keep that momentum in this game. And I like the number under 28 here. So, minus 120 is decent value here.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Pitt's team total over 22.5. They're at Wake Forest.
Yeah, this is an interesting play because Pitt made a quarterback change last week and it really paid off. They beat an undefeated Louisville team that they were heavy dogs to. Christian Valu, who was, I think, Penn State's third-string quarterback last year, is now Pitt's starter, and it paid off. And I think they scored 37 points against Louisville's defense that had only been averaging like 14 points per game allowed this season.
Mm-hmm.
So if you combine that with Wake Forest giving up 24 points per game, we have Pitt at 27 points score this game. So we have pretty good value on the over. I like it.
Yeah. We'll move to Auburn and under. Very uncharacteristic of us, but that means that we really are confident in it. We have Auburn. The model has it coming in at 20. You like this under as well.
Yeah, it's so hard because you don't know how good Mississippi's defense is going to be week to week. Sometimes they play really well, sometimes they don't. It's a week to week basis when it comes to Mississippi's defense. But with Auburn's offense, we know that they're just not that good. A lot of the points that they scored against Georgia were in short yardage situations after Georgia fumbled. So I wouldn't really look into the 20 points that Auburn scored against Georgia. I see that as more of an outlier, and I look towards the rest of their games where they're scoring like 14 points per game. And so I like this under 23.5. If you could find a 24 and get some push insurance at a key number, I'd play that. But Steven said earlier that you could really only find 23.5. So I still think there's plenty of value there.
Mm-hmm. We'll move to our final team total. Coastal Carolina over 35.5. We have them projected for 43. We also just love this pick in general. We like the spread. We have them annihilating Arkansas State.
Yeah, we focused on this game earlier this week. It's more, we think that this line is Arkansas State's last year's line compared to this year's line, where they rank 129th out of 133 teams in the FBS in points allowed per game. They've been terrible on defense. And Coastal Carolina, yet their offense hasn't been that good, but they've played some of the top teams in their conference the last couple of weeks. They are coming off a big win at App State last week. They have the momentum. They have a fifth-year starter at quarterback in Grayson McCall. We have them scoring above 40 points this game, and I like just fading Arkansas State's defense and Butch Jones in general.
Yeah, I like that a lot. We'll move over to the stability model. Now, a few games we also had mentioned earlier this week, like Washington. But let's run through these because we also went 3-1 last week on the plays that the stability model and the Sportsline model both agreed on.
Yeah, so 2 days ago, the stability model already hit on the South Alabama game. I should have mentioned that a couple of days ago, but it's 1-0 this week in games that the stability model and Sportsline model agree with. So that brings it to 4-1 in the last week. Baylor plus 3.5 at Cincinnati. Yeah, Steven said we'll count it. Of course we'll count it. We'll definitely count that. Baylor plus 3.5 at Cincinnati. We have Baylor losing by 1 point here, so we like this plus 3.5 spread. Baylor's quarterback Blake Shapen, he's getting healthier after he's been banged up early in the season. They had a bye week last week. Cincinnati's been looking pretty rough lately. They got blown out at home in their last game. So I think if Baylor loses, they could easily keep it to a field goal game. UNC minus 23.5 versus Virginia. We saw what UNC did last week. They just look like a juggernaut right now. They look like the second best team in the ACC behind FSU, but I think they're not too far behind FSU. We have UNC winning by 27. And then Washington minus 26.5. We have Washington winning by 35. This has actually surprisingly moved from 28 to 26.5.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people are expecting a little bit of a letdown from Washington after that huge win against Oregon last week. I just don't think Arizona State's that good, but this is one of those trap games that you never know. And Michigan minus 24, Michigan State, another one. This is a rivalry game. Weird things happen, but also I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan just blows them out. I think it's either a blowout or they win by 2. Nothing in between. So it's an interesting game.
Michigan's just been silent and sneaky this year. A couple great chat points, including your own. Just to go back to that Thursday night ATN prop, you had mentioned he's averaging 24 receiving yards. Wednesday Jones is out, which is the case. And Derek said the Saints are giving up 28 receiving yards to opposing running backs. So all good information for that. Now let's go to a question for Big Cheesy. You guys love James Madison. I don't know what it is. James Madison minus 26.5 tonight. Is that something we have value on?
We don't have value on that, but I don't mind that. Let me check. Actually, 20 other is it team total 26.5? I'm assuming. Because I don't think it's minus.
I don't think the spread.
But
yeah.
So I mean, we have some value there. I don't mind it. I think Marshall's defense is pretty bad. They if Marshall's going to win this game, it's probably going to be in a high-scoring affair. If James Madison wins, I could see it being in a shootout, or I could see James Madison holding Marshall below their team total. So I like James Madison team total, if anything, in this game. You saw Marshall and NC State. That became a huge scoring game, 41-48 a couple weeks ago, and that was with NC State's backup quarterback. And Jordan McLeod's looked pretty good for James Madison this year. I'm on his prop bet for over 220 yards. We have him right at 220 yards, but I also like Surratt to have a big game after watching what he did against Georgia Southern last week.
Right. We'll do one more college football question from Nick. Illinois' team total under 20.5. We have a little weather going on here.
I mean, I don't mind it. They're playing Wisconsin. Yeah. It just scares me that it's at home. And fading a team's offense at home, especially with Wisconsin having their starter and his first career start. But I think that because Wisconsin Braden Locke is making his first career start, that maybe Wisconsin plays it safe. They run the ball a ton with Braylon Allen, and they just focus on defense. I mean, even in their loss last week, they held Iowa to 15 points. So I don't mind fading Illinois at all.
All right, yeah, good stuff there. Steven said we have them projected for, I think it was 16.5 points. But yeah, all right, that's a lot of information. Again, we have a lot of packed shows this week, but a lot to go over. So with that, tomorrow we will go over any updated lines that are necessary, and then we'll also hit some player props, where we think the market went wrong, and where things have been misplaced. So with that, good luck with your bets tonight. Good luck with MLB playoffs, and we will see you guys tomorrow.